Good afternoon. I actually had to look up at the clock. Anyway, welcome to another video. If you haven't been here before, my name's Tammy, and well, we just share our simpler life here on PEI, which, as I've mentioned before, is simpler for me, but probably not for everybody. I am not a homesteader or a prepper. I do have a fairly extensive pantry, but mostly that is my own food insecurities, things like that. You know, once you get the head involved when it comes to stocking your pantry, then it can either go uphill or downhill. But that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, we are cooking tomorrow. I know what you're thinking, Tammy. Why are you talking about it today if you're cooking tomorrow? Well, let me show you. I have got this. Now, it's not quite thought out all the way. That is just shy of 1.5 pounds, so 1.4 pounds of medium ground beef. So, to go back a couple of steps, you guys all know I'm having freezer issues, but we've been eating down the pantry, eating down the chest freezer because we did have to move the majority of our upright into the chest freezer. But we've also discovered that we have completely eaten out all of our pre-made meals. And the busier canning season is coming up. Our wood was delivered. So we have stacking to do. We have cutting to do. We have basically prepping for the winter. And we need some meals. So I'm not going to make a lot of meals, but this is what we're going to do. We are actually going to take this 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and we're going to make 6 frozen meals with that 1.5 pounds of frozen ground beef. Well, mostly thawed for ground beef. So now you're probably thinking, 1.5 pounds ground beef, that's not a lot for 6 meals. But we're going to be boosting up the protein, and we're also going to be adding filler. I know, filler is like a bad word, but what we're going to be using for our one filler for a boost of protein, a boost of fiber is, whoops, there we go, our navy beans. So the reason why now I said we're going to cook tomorrow is that I got to get these beans soaking so they will be ready to cook in the morning and we can add it to our one dish. So time to get the cooking adventure started, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. The sun is not out still. So it rained again, just crazy yesterday. And yeah, it is still really wet outside. Guess what? The grass still isn't cut. Go figure. But we're cooking today. Yay! So as I said yesterday, by the way, the coffee is also in hand because I'm going to need it. Good stuff. So as I said yesterday, we're going to try and get some meals in the freezer. Yeah, I know I'm still on limited freezer space. I do still have a perfect spot now to start stacking some freezer meals. We can't go and do the great big shop yet. I still can't get the fan for the upright. I have no idea. So we may just, hit Marketplace and see if we can find one. But we are going to start prepping everything for our lasagnas, because we're making lasagna, and shepherd's pie. Now the plan is to try and get at least 3 of each from that one package of hamburgers. So first things first, we have to get the sweet potatoes and the hamburger in the oven. If I'm going to cook a big thing of hamburger, I might as well do it the easy way. Okay, so the oven is on. We are going to actually have sweet potatoes on top of our shepherd's pie. So first things first, this guy and this guy, they're definitely not going to cook at the same time. So I'm just going to lop him in chunks. You don't have to do anything to these guys. They're just going to bake. All the skin will come off really, really super easy. And we're going to be mashing these up and putting them on top of the shepherd's pie. So These are good. Now, move my knife aside. Let's get our hamburger. Okay, so as I said, this is 1.5 pounds of ground beef. It's medium ground, so it's got a little bit more fat in it. Normally I go for lean ground beef, but lean ground beef was ridiculously expensive. And this one I bought when it was on sale and popped it in the freezer. Handy little tip, by the way. The parchment paper, yeah, I put parchment paper down in these trays. These guys, by the way, these small little sheet pans, oh, I'll link them for you down below. They're, go figure, another Epicure product. But I actually even have a couple that I haven't even opened yet. And those little wire racks that I use, they fit right inside of them. So if you're doing like chicken fingers, homemade chicken fingers or whatever, they're perfect for that. But anyway, let's get back to the point. So the ground beef, like I said, this is only 1.5 pounds. But we're going to use it for 6. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can get even more. I don't know. We'll find out. So we're going to put these in the oven and get these started. And then I'll show you what else we need to prep. Okay. Super big pot of water on to boil for our lasagna noodles. And in our other little pot here, we are going to cook the white beans that we've been soaking since yesterday. So now the reason why I am adding beans is, one, they're a great source of fiber and they're a great source of protein. So we're going to be putting the beans in the shepherd's pie with some of the ground beef, but we're also going to be putting quite a bit of vegetables actually in them as well. So the majority of the beef will actually go into the lasagnas, probably about 2/3, and then 1/3 will be going into the shepherd's pie. So while I was waiting for the beans and the pasta, the water to boil, thought I'd go out and see if we had another green pepper ready. Well, the green peppers, they're not quite ready yet, the other ones. I mean, those other 2 that I picked and I've been using, oh, fabulous. But I did have 2 sweet peppers ready. So there's only a couple of sweet pepper plants out there, and you know, I'm actually happy that I got to them before the bugs did, because once they get so long and they get close to the ground, then the bugs are like, ooh, easy food. But I got them. I've decided we are going garlic heavy. I mean, I've got the garlic, right? I don't have to, you know, worry about it anymore. Wow. Oh my gosh, this is a tough garlic head. All right, let's pry it apart. There we go. I have to say, though, that I am very impressed with how this garlic grew. I should tell you, too, the name of the garlic is, I think it's Porcelain Magic. Oh, my gosh. I'll have to look it up again. All right. But it came out wonderful. Wow. These cloves are tough. There we go. 5 cloves of garlic. I know, it's a lot of garlic. Oops, wait a minute. There we go. Can't use that piece. Okay, so let's get the peppers all done. Pepper's done. Now what I have a whole bunch of these little tiny onions. Believe it or not, these 5 little onions here are what's left from last year. They've been in the fridge, at the bottom, in the crisper, and we're gonna use those up. So, I mean, if you keep them in the fridge too, they will last you a lot longer. I've been trying to decide, do I get another fridge? So, it's one of those decisions things, because I could easily keep a lot of carrots, onions, and the garlic all in a second fridge, like out in the garage. But Haven't decided yet. All right, so we're just gonna give these guys a quick chop, and then we'll go and get some of this year's onions. And get all the onions prepped. Okay, 2 more onions. I just pulled these off the drying rack. They are actually ready to bag, so that'll be one of my jobs this week. It's already one of those weeks. So basically it works out to be about 3 onions that size. So what, medium onions? And with the 2 sweet peppers, it works out to be about 1 good size green pepper. I don't put a ton of green peppers in it. I mean, I'm not sure. Have we really talked about it before? Freddie is not what you'd call a great green pepper fan. But I also told him if he were going to grow it, he's going to eat it. And he's getting better. So I've been cutting them smaller for them, for him to, be a little nice. I can be nice sometimes, Here we go. Onions are done. Yay! And before you ask, the new onions are definitely a lot more potent than what those little onions were that were left over from last year. Yeah. I'm going to go and, clean my eyes, and then we'll start cooking these things up. Well, as you can see, we have the really big guy out. So this is the great big pan we're actually going to make the filling in for our shepherd's pies. So I might as well saute all the onions and everything in here. So we've got a little bit of olive oil. We'll let that start warming up. Now our hamburger, ground beef, whatever you call it, depends on where you are, I suppose. It's done, so we're just letting the fat drain off out there. The beans, they're almost done. And the pasta is cooked. It has been drained. Now I rinsed it with cool water because I wanted to stop the cooking, just so you know. Alrighty, let's check our beans. I had a bit of a boil over too. Alright, they're coming along. They're getting there. Now the beans, they'll need about 45 minutes, so they are actually my longest cooking anything. I know it's not quite hot yet, but that's okay. We're basically just sweating these down anyway and sauteing it all lightly. Now, I also do not put the garlic in at the beginning. Garlic is really, really sweet because you've noticed it, how sticky it is when you actually cut it up. And I find that the sweetness and the sugars in the garlic, it burns too fast. So if I want to saute the garlic, I'll put it in probably in about 5 minutes. Alrighty, so this is where it starts to get fun. So I've got the pot that we cooked the pasta in here. We need to put onions and peppers and garlic in it. There we go. Now there's more in there than there's in the shepherd's pie. Alrighty. We will put our ground beef in, but let me go drain this off first, guys. There we go. We'll put that in there. We have to bust it up a little bit better, I guess. Oh, I failed. I'm just saying. I just failed. We're going to put the cooked white beans in that pot. So it does look like I'm probably going to get more shepherd's pies than I thought, which is okay, because shepherd's pie are good. And the last thing that's going in with the shepherd's pie mix before we actually start working on the sauce are frozen peas and carrots. A lot of them. So that's 4 cups of water, guys. This is going to sit, it's going to simmer, it's going to be happy. We are putting a cheddar bouillon cube in there just to make my life a little easier. And we're also adding some thyme, some dried thyme, because dried thyme just, oh, it's just really good. So that's actually about a tablespoon. But it's going to get spread around in all the dishes, so don't worry about it. But do you understand when you look at this mix, why I put the white beans in there? The white beans will give you the fiber. It'll also give you quite a bit of protein. And then the beef, of course, in the beef stock cube, that'll give you your beef. So now, let's get this sauce simmering. One of our big jars of tomatoes. We're also putting in a can of thicken rich. So basically cheater spaghetti sauce. Because why buy them if you're not going to use them? They're not supposed to just sit there and look pretty. That's the way I look at it anyway. And the thick and rich sauce. I actually like this in these kind of combo meals. I think it works out well. I'm also adding a half a can of water because we're making the lasagnas. They're going to be frozen and the pasta is not 100% cooked. It's almost 100% cooked. I think I'm going to put a little bit of rosemary in our shepherd's pie over here, just because it tastes good. And a little extra marinara, Italian spice mix in our sauce. So now these both have to sit and cook and simmer for a little while. And then we can start building these, but we have one more filling left to make. Okay, so my Italian uncle probably cringes when I do this because I add a cheese spinach layer to my lasagnas. So what this is the last of my frozen spinach. So you know those little, tiny hockey pucks worth of spinach that you get in the frozen bags? I had 4 left, which is in here. All right, and this is where the cringe comes. You ready? We're gonna put an egg in. Yeah, I know, don't say anything. Give that a bit of a mixy to help break down that spinach because I squished all the water out. And cottage cheese. Now, I mentioned earlier that if you don't have a lot of ground beef, there are other ways to put a protein in a thing like a lasagna. This is one of them. Now, there's 15 grams of protein in a half a cup of this. That's a lot of protein. Now, this container is a 500 grams, sorry. Oh, got milliliters on the brain today. So that's a fair amount. And yeah, it looks a little weird. I do know that. So in this layer, I also add black pepper, fair amount. That's quite literally probably about a teaspoon and a half of black pepper. And grated Parmesan cheese. A lot of it. Now, I think it was my mother that made this the first time. I honestly don't remember. I'll have to ask. So, but yeah, this is one of the layers that I put in my lasagna. It gives me the extra iron with the spinach that I need because, as we've talked about, I am anemic. Iron is my friend. It also gives us the extra protein, which we all need. And to be honest, it just tastes good. It looks weird, but it tastes good. And it also leaves me some cottage cheese for lunch. Okay, so the sauce is done. So we're letting that cool. I'm just letting the mix for the shepherd's pie reduce a little bit more, and I'm going to thicken that with some water and some flour, just a little bit, because I like a thicker base on the bottom. But there are also 2 other jobs we're going to do today. One is pizza dough. The other is we're going to make Freddie some muffins for work. But we're going to get the pizza dough out of the way. Now, I was given this a while ago. It's the Double O flour for pizza. It's a President's Choice Black Label menu product. And I've never made this before. Usually I buy pizza dough. So this will be the first time. This one actually has a recipe specific for this flour. So it's actually not too bad. So I'm gonna see how many I get. I should be able to get 3 from this bag. I'm hoping to get 4. I'm not doing this by hand. I got the mixer out. All right, let's see how many pizza doughs we can get from this one little 1 kilogram bag of flour. So now the recipe on this bag calls for the flour, salt, yeast, carbonated spring water, and some extra virgin olive oil. So what I did is I pulled out the soda stream and I made myself some carbonated water. So 1 1/3 cups of flour. So if you ever seen 00 flour, it's extremely fine. I mean, this stuff is crazy. 3/4 of a teaspoon of yeast and 1 1/2 teaspoons of kosher salt. There should be enough for 1 more in there, but I think we're only gonna do the 3. And stir it together. We have 3 of them in there, so that's going to be 1 1/2 cups of our sparkling water here. Now it says room temperature, so that's what I've got it at. 1 1/2 cups of sparkling water and 1 tablespoon for every mix, so 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Oh, that's fabulous. So I'm gonna knead this for another minute and then we're gonna let it rest, probably about 20 minutes. I don't really want it to rise. I just want it to rest. So this this dough, this feels phenomenal. Wow. So I kind of, when I got that bag of flour, I kind of thought 00 flour. Why? You can seriously tell the difference. All right, let me put this guy away after I dust him off. And then we're going to actually get the hot filling for our shepherd's pie in the little containers. So once again, I went back out and they did have the little 2-pound trays back at the Price Mart store. That's the store where we get some of our Costco stuff. Because the 2-pound trays are the ones that I actually like the best. They're the perfect size for just the pair of us. That's why when I do batch cooking, they're not huge batches. It's just the 2 of us. So this is our shepherd's pie filling, guys. Now, I didn't put anything other than a second bouillon cube because that first one didn't really impart a lot of the beefy flavor that I wanted. We have the white beans, we have the peas, carrots, onions, garlic, green peppers, and we thickened it with a little bit of flour and water, and then it's seasoned with rosemary and thyme. And I tried it. Tastes great, just saying. I took out 4 containers because I'm hoping to get 4. Guess we'll find out. And yes, I do fill these up while it's hot because I want this filling cold before I put the sweet potatoes on top. Now, if I really wanted some seriously huge ones, I could easily put this in just 3, but I like the 4. So we're gonna let these sit and get cold. And while these are chilling, we gotta get those sweet potatoes out and get the topping all sorted out. Time for the sweet potatoes. Now I left these in the oven after they had mostly cooked, so now they're basically done. So now I can just peel the skin off. They're still pretty warm when you do it this way, but not so hot now that I'm going to burn myself. My husband always laughs at me when I do this. He says I'm going to burn myself eventually, and well, I burn myself enough, but not today. I admit I really do like sweet potatoes. A lot of people don't like sweet potatoes. If you don't like sweet potatoes, don't put sweet potatoes on top. We have done this with sweet potatoes, with cauliflower and potato mix, lots of things. And I don't need to add anything to these sweet potatoes. I mean, there is nothing I have to do to these other than mash them up and put them on top of the shepherd's pie. Now you can add stuff if you wanted to, I suppose. But all I'm going to do is once these are cold, I'm just going to scoop the sweet potatoes right on top and then seal them up, and they go in the freezer. Well, here's our pizza dough, guys, back. I let it rest for a bit. The dough itself, it just feels great, to the point where I'm seriously debating on whether or not we're gonna make a pizza. Okay, so we're gonna cut this into 3 pieces, and then that'll give us 3 pizzas. So quick little hand knead. I could easily put 2 in one freezer bag, but I don't want them to stick together. There we go. That is officially 1 thing in the freezer. There's actually enough flour left that I might make 1 more dough. Well, it is time to put lasagnas together. Now I should have enough for the 3. Depending on how I put them together, I could actually almost get 4, but I'm not sure yet. So we'll put a little bit of sauce in the bottom because that kind of keeps everything from sticking too bad. And we have our noodles. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cut each noodle into 3. There we go. I mean, I've had people ask me before, why do I put so much pasta in my little lasagnas? I mean, the pasta, that's the main character in this play, isn't it? And, of course, the pasta is also the cheapest part of making a lasagna. So the whole point is you make the lasagna, have your cheapest member of the band here showcase, and then you add all the fabulous flavors on top of that. That's the way I look at it anyway, guys. Alrighty, so we have our first layer down. This is where my uncle's gonna cringe. So Joe, if you're watching, turn away now. There we go. Alrighty, next layer of pasta. So we have the next layer of pasta. Give it a bit of a squish because, you know, air bubbles happen. Add a scoop of sauce. Some shaker cheese. And the next layer of pasta. So like I said, it's only 3 lasagna noodles per lasagna. That's all you need. All right, squish it again. Because if you're going to make them in like a freezer dish, you kind of want to limit the air. So the whole point is you fill them up enough that once you put the lid on, it seals it and you don't have to worry too much about freezer burn. Now, I don't have a lot of mozzarella left, so we're going to put a little sprinkle on the top and a little bit more shaker cheese. Now, these are definitely thicker than the last time because I think I got in my brain that I'm still using the 3-pound trays and not the 2 pounds, but that's okay. It's going to be messy, but it'll be sealed and I won't have any freezer burn, and that's all I care about. Definitely messy, but 1 down. I'm going to build these 2 and then we can safely say the second meal is going to be in the freezer. I have enough pasta and sauce. I can make 1 more. This one won't have any cottage cheese mix in it, but that's okay. There we go. 4 very messy little lasagnas that will go in the freezer. I was kind of curious whether I'd get 8 total meals or not, and it turned out I did. So that is great. All right, time to get these in the freezer, so 4 meals down. Well, guys, the sweet potatoes are finally cold, so I'm going to finish these up. So if you don't like sweet potatoes, I mean, you don't have to use sweet potatoes, like I've already said. We actually like sweet potato. Just scraping out the bowl. There we go. We like sweet potato. It actually is really kind of good. You don't have to add anything to sweet potato. It's just got a wonderful flavor all by itself. And with the thyme and the rosemary that we put in the base of these little shepherd's pie-esque meals, it'll actually taste pretty good. There we go. Shepherd's pie. I suppose this is the good day to do this kind of thing. If it's going to rain and be yucky, I might as well be inside cooking. For shepherd's pie with an SP for sweet potato. Wow. It has been a good, relaxing day. So far now we've got 4 lasagnas, 3 with spinach, 1 without. I probably could have separated that better if I had thought about it, but that's okay. 4 shepherd's pies. So, of course, these are white bean and ground beef. I've never actually made a traditional shepherd's pie, you know, with lamb and things. We might have to try that someday. All topped with sweet potato. And we have 3 pizza crusts in the freezer and 1 in the fridge. And this is where the brain failed, because now we're going to make a pizza for dinner and I don't have any mozzarella cheese left. I have to go to the store. So the only thing left we have to do are banana oatmeal muffins. Now, yeah, this is the same recipe that we've done before, so I didn't really think you needed to hear me actually go through the whole recipe again. But someone did ask me, why do I spend all my time making all these muffins and things? Well, to be honest, I use them for my midnight snacks, and I also like to make sure that Fred has decent food in his lunchbox, because that man works 10 to 12 hours a day. I'd like to have him something for him that he can eat that's tasty. You know, hey, do what I can kind of thing, I suppose. Now, I also do use a lot of my cooking as a relaxation, which is another thing that some people find a little odd, because I know quite a lot of people that look at cooking as a chore, and I figure, why not? I do not have a huge repertoire of different recipes. I like to play, I like to try new things, but yeah, I like to spend just my whole day off. Let's make something tasty, let's make something good, and let's make other people happy, like Freddie. Wow, bad hair day. Alrighty, they're in the oven. That is our last task for the day. Yay! So now all I need to do is, I'm going to set the timer before I forget. Oops, don't forget the timer. There we go. Timer has been set, so I'll show you what they look like when they're done. And yeah, dishwasher's going. Got most of it cleaned up. I think it's time for some tea and a relax. That is a tasty looking pizza. And the crust, oh, that crust came out so good. All right, we're gonna eat. It is dinner time. I did screw up the pizza. Well, not flavor or the actual pizza. I had the camera going and once again forgot to hit that little record button as I was actually making the pizza. All right, so to get to the point, the pizza itself, I put it kind of like a pizza parlor, you know, when they plop the pizza dough down on a little bed of cornmeal, because I didn't want it to stick, but I didn't want to add any extra flour, and did the whole stretchy thing. So the reason why I'm getting to this point is that pizza dough, I'm looking actually at the picture on my computer in case you're wondering what I'm doing. Anyway, so that pizza dough, it didn't have that super stringy bounce back that you get a lot of dough. When you stretched it out, it stretched out so, so good. It was great. And the pizza sauce that we had made together, that pizza sauce, perfect for one pizza. So you put enough on there, and then there's usually a little bit left over so you can dip your crust. Best way to have a pizza, just saying. And yeah, there's a lot of meat. The man doesn't put anything but meat on his pizza, so we have some pepperoni, the last of the pepperoni, so that's going to have to go on the shopping list. Those bacon crumbles and some leftover thick sliced lunch ham, if you can believe it. It was just, it's like a deli sliced ham that I get up at the little store, the little grocery store, and they slice it in store, and it's really nice ham, just so you know. But let's get back to the point. Yeah, can you tell I'm tired? It's pretty late now. I'm tired. Also, the muffins. Oh, look at that muffin. Doesn't that look good? Now, it's the same muffin recipe we made the last time. The only difference is, of course, I added the peanut butter because I like it, but I didn't put any chocolate chips in this time. And when I actually edit this video, which you guys would have already seen, I'm just going to speed it up. We've been there, we've done that. But yeah, that makes me happy now. I have 8 meals in the freezer. 8. Who would have guessed? And I know the shepherd's pie, it doesn't have that brown gravy or anything to it. With the white beans and stuff, I just kind of left it like a light color. It's got great flavor. The rosemary and the thyme, that flavor really, really comes out. And there's the only salt in that entire recipe are the 2 bouillon cubes. That's it. I didn't add any beef stock. I didn't add like the bouillon in the bottle. Nothing. Just those 2 bouillon cubes for that whole base. And I have to admit the flavor was really, really, really good. Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to figure out a way to stretch beef. And that was the way for me to stretch the beef. Add the white beans. Something else to keep in mind, if you happen to be a vegetarian, shepherd's pie with the white beans, just saying, with a really good, flavorful, like veggie stock, can't talk, that would be great. I'm mad at myself for not videoing when I made that pizza. I showed you the crust, it came out great. It was good. It was just really, really good. The muffins, like I said, it's pretty late now. I had dinner quite some time ago. Muffin, banana peanut butter oatmeal muffin for dessert. Okay, guys, that has to be it for me. I've babbled in your ears long enough today. You've heard me sniffling over onions. You saw that kitty cat parade. Yeah. So I think it is time to call it a day. I'm going to eat my muffin because it is really late and dinner was hours ago. Go ahead and click our busy week here, or, click on Yuki up there and go ahead and subscribe, because we would love to take you with us as we continue our simpler life here on PEI. Bye for now.